Well, you heard the views expressed by the former president. You heard the views that were expressed in Parliament. One thing is clear from the statements that have been made. It seems like there are political forces behind the incidents that have transpired. Of course, the people who are implicated in this incident, the people who are responsible for these incidents have been revealed, are in the process of being revealed. Now, some politicians claim that the political forces behind these incidents are certain individuals. They describe these individuals as a tall, thin man wearing a national, or where there are counterclaims that this individual is a pig, or that this individual is someone who uses a lot of defenders in the Kandy area. But one thing is clear, all these statements lead to the point that there are political forces behind the incidents that transpired in this country. It seems that Sri Lanka is tackling this issue of finding out who these culprits are. The United Kingdom had faced similar issues, and they have reached a decision. Let's take a look at this before we continue with this discussion.
The leader and deputy leader of the far-right group Britain First have been found guilty on several counts of religiously aggravated harassment. Paul Holding and Jada Franson were arrested over the distribution of leaflets and posting of online videos. The judge told the court the pair were well known, controversial and generate their own publicity. He said their words and actions demonstrated hostility towards Muslims and the Muslim faith. The group gained international notoriety when Donald Trump shared several of Franson's Twitter posts last year, sparking a diplomatic row after Theresa May condemned the action. Both Franson and Golding have since been banned from Twitter in a crackdown on extremism and hate speech.
Just a few minutes ago, you heard the views of the Batticaloa District MP from the SLMC comparing the incident that transpired in the country at present to the incidents that transpired in the dark days of 1983. These are his words. Now, what happened in 1983? Of course, we are talking about Black July, or Kalu Julia as it is known in Sinhala. Now, in Black July, the incidents that transpired grew to such an extent because the leaders who were in power at that time failed to take action or turned a blind eye. We later got to know that there were certain ministers within the administration back in 1983 who supported these people to come to Colombo, loot properties and destroy properties in the chaos that ensued. What happened afterwards? Sri Lanka was pushed into a 30-year-long conflict that set our country back years and years. Now, what is happening in the country today? To break that down, we need to understand the current political context that Sri Lanka is going through. Now, we all know that back in February, the Pohottua, or the Sri Lanka Podujana Perumuna, won the local government elections. Now, the people who represent the Podujana Perumuna or the Pohottua are the same people who were in power from 2005 to 2015, a decade. Now, we all remember what happened, the incidents that transpired and everything that took place during this decade-long period that they were in power. And lest we forget, the people who are currently in the government have been repeating it so much so that we do not forget back during the campaign trail and after coming into power as well. After winning the local government election, their motives became very clear. They came before the public and they said, we need a general election. Why do they need a general election? Obviously, to come back into power. Is this because they want to serve the country once again? They want to do what they couldn't do in the 10 years? Highly doubtful. Now let's take a look at the other side of the aisle, our Honorable Prime Minister and the government. Our Honorable Prime Minister suffered his 30th election defeat at the hands of the Podujana Perumuna, as I mentioned earlier. And then he faced a revolt from within his own party for the leadership of the party. And then more challenges came his way. What? A no-confidence motion from the opposition, and then a no-confidence motion or talks of no-confidence motions from within his party himself. These are all challenges that the Prime Minister and the government are facing at present. But wait, there's one more. Lest we forget, the good friend of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe, the person that he vouched for, former governor of the central bank, Arjuna Mahendran, who is at a critical stage in the inquiries into the bond scam. Now, back in 2015, when he started reporting on the bond scam, not many people understood the complexities and the nuances of what we were saying. When we started talking about the Central Expressway and the dealings that were going on with regard to this deal, not many people understood. However, the people have not been fooled by politicians in this instance. Because of the actions of the general public of this country, we have been saved from another calamity that could have pushed us to another war. So, the people of this country, it seems, it's not easy to fool them or hoodwink them. Now, speaking about the government, we know that there are high-ranking ministers within this government, and there are close associates of Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe as well. We remember two big names or high-ranking ministers within this government who hail from the Kandy area where these events transpired. One, of course, is Minister Lakshman Kiriyalla, who was very proactive in attempting to bring the Central Expressway to Kandy. But when these incidents transpired, did you see Lakshman Kiriyalla going to Kandy to try and ease the situation? Did you see him acting proactively in order to resolve this situation? If you missed it, then it seems that we have missed it too. What about Malik Samaravikrama? Yes, Malik Samaravikrama is not an elected representative of Parliament. One can say he does not have to do this, or he does not feel the pulse of the people, so he might be a bit oblivious to it. But he is someone who lives in Kandy. But we did not see him in Kandy when these events transpired. So this is the current political context under which these incidents have transpired. On one hand, you have the Pohotua or the Sri Lanka Podujana Peramana who want to come back into power. On the other, you have a Prime Minister and a government who are desperately trying to cling on to power. So these incidents are happening in this context, where two opposing political factions are trying to regain power and hold on to power. But thank God for the people of this country have thought and acted in the correct way in order to stop a calamity that could have happened. These public representatives are our representatives. We elect them into power. But in their fight for power, it seems that they have forgotten why we, the people, elected them to power. They have forgotten the farmers who are suffering without water, who have not been able to cultivate without water. They have forgotten the plight of the farmers who do not have fertilizer to grow their crops. They have forgotten the plight of the laborers who skip meals so that they can provide for their children. They have forgotten the children who travel miles and miles so that they can get access to clean drinking water. These are the concerns of the public. The public do not really care who comes into power, who stays in power. What do the public want right now? We believe that the public wants an independent and impartial investigation into the incidents that transpired in Kandy and Ampara. We believe that the public wants the culprits who are behind this, the political forces that are behind this, to be brought before justice. Now, when we speak about that, there is one more thing I need to add. A small group carried out these actions, this destruction. They destroyed property, they burned down houses. And now the president has instructed the armed forces to rebuild these properties that were damaged. Who will end up paying for these rebuildings, or who will end up supporting our fellow countrymen? It is us. Our money will eventually be used to rebuild their lives. And this is what the current political context has gifted us as a country. Now, as I said before, the names of people involved in these incidents have been revealed, and more names are on the way. The saying goes, the cat is out of the bag, but in this case, there are more cats coming out of the bag in the coming days. So, as the saying goes once again, you can fool all the people some of the time. You can fool some of the people all the time, but not all the people all the time. I'm Ramesh Rugal Bandara. It's back to the news studio.